The boathouse, the upper room house.
Yeah, look at that roof.
Yeah, and with the T-lock shingles. Dun dee dun dun, and a squirrel on top.
They all come with one squirrel at least.
Now, so is there a staircase inside or not?
So there should be an upper staircase inside to get up there. There was at one point a deck here, and I believe it was a deck or whatever out here, and that was the stairs came down in one of the directions here, so you could rebuild that. What you could do is you could put a whole deck up top and then a staircase down in either direction. Probably would go this way now that we've demoed out this cottage here.
Right.
So
Cottage went away right there.
Deck above it. That would give you some shelter under here, and then you can put a deck down to this side.
Okay, now, so we're dealing with like about 3 different levels of cabins. There's ones that are at risk that need to be rescued.
Yes.
Right. And then there's ones that are like, you know, semi-livable but need a ton of work.
Yep.
And then there's ones that are like move-in ready.
Yep.
So
only a few of those, but yes, there are.
Yeah. So what would we call this one?
So this would probably be a middle grade one. The roof on it, I don't think is leaking yet, but it's getting to the point where it needs to be addressed soon.
Yeah.
The ones that are rescue cottages, those are the ones where the roof has been, you know, it's got a hole in it.
Sure.
And if it's not addressed right away, it's going to be rotting out in a year or two or sooner. So.
Okay, and this one has this really neat little bay window, which is pretty cool. And the first time I saw this one, it reminded me of houses that I'd seen, tiny little houses in New England where they would actually do the boat building on the second floor and then hand the boats out through a door on the second floor with a crane. Like they'd have like a beam sticking out with a block and tackle on it, and they just lower stuff up and down, and then the bottom was the, you know, like the family living quarters.
What I would do is I would build a full deck out here coming off the back side of it. I would make a deck on the back of it. I would do a second floor deck on the front of it with kind of an awning for when you're coming in from the rain. And you could make, you know, either 2 small single bedrooms up top if you wanted to convert it into living, or you could make, you know, a canoe shop or something. Who knows?
Exactly.
Let God talk to you on that.
And it's right next to the catalpa tree, which is pretty cool.
We have, I believe, 5 of these on the property. For years, they were not blooming. And this year, all of them bloomed just crazy beautiful. It was almost like God saying, there's life coming back to the campground. This is a time of rebirth, and it's really incredible. So yeah, we got about 5 or 6 of these on the property.
Yeah, that one's kind of encroaching this little cabin here.
Yeah, it is. There's, unfortunately, people should have cut down a lot of the trees 50 years ago, like this one right here. I mean, why would someone allow that cottage to have a tree right next to it that close for years? To the point where it's busting up the siding on the side of it.
Right.
So, you know, it needs to be addressed and taken care of. This cottage is for sale as well. We're going to need to put a roof on this one very soon. If we don't address that, it's going to be in tough shape. But it's actually a pretty nice cottage. I like it.
Yeah, it's got a neat layout. That's a little bay window kind of thing and a porch. Now, I've been looking at a lot of them, and some of them, the porches are twisting and sagging, but the cabins are kind of square and okay.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that stuff? Like this one over here where the porch is kind of sagging down a little bit.
Correct. So something like that, although it looks bad, it's actually really simple to fix it. All you do is you get a couple jacks underneath the front of it, you jack it up, you re-square it, and you set it back down. And once you elevate the cottages, you're actually building a real foundation. Most of the cottages here, they're all just sitting on cinder blocks.
Sitting on cinder blocks, yeah.
So they're on the ground or they're almost on the ground. And so once you elevate them and raise them, like for this cottage over here, it's already raised and up and it's done. It's not a whole steel frame construction project. This one's done. All he has to do is just put his lattice or whatever he is around it. But he never has to worry about re-supporting his whole porch or anything like that. It has a solid foundation now. And so the same thing with these that are on the ground. That is one day's work to square that out and level it. And then, but once it's actually raised up, it's got a real foundation under it, and it's good.
Great. Okay. Now, all right. Well, let's just, since we're looking at this one from a long shot.
Yeah.
Now, what about this one? I mean, if someone purchased that, they would want to put it up off the floodplain, right?
Absolutely. So, just to give you an idea of how bad it flooded 2.5 months ago, the water was up. If you can see,
Okay.
take a walk. I'll show you.
All right.
This one is owned by somebody. They're actually currently rehabbing it. They just demoed out the whole interior. They're rebuilding it. We're working on getting plans drawn up for it, and we're going to elevate and raise this one and rebuild it.
Yeah, this is pretty hefty size. It's got like a lot of space in it.
But to give you an idea of how big that flood was, this is the water line.
Okay.
There was that much water through all of this place.
That's the water
So
line.
this was the 4th biggest flood on record. And so water was through this hole, and this is lower ground here, where some of the other grounds are higher.
Okay.
And so when this is raised up, the highest flood ever on record was right about here. This was the 4th biggest flood. And so
So how many serious floods has there been in the past 100 years?
I don't know, 10 maybe, 20. I don't know exactly. There is an archive record that goes back pretty far, and I can show you how to find that.
Okay.
But what we're doing now is to say this is the highest flood ever on record. We're going 2 feet above that, and then your floor line would be up here, so that you're never ever in danger.
Right.
You know, what's the difference of raising it, you know, this high or this high? You might as well go up an extra foot or two.
Right. So here, what we're looking at right
This
next
one,
door.
yeah, like we went 2.5 feet above the highest flood ever on record for this house. And now you have storage underneath the cottage and everything else that you need.
Yeah.
So,
That's pretty cool.
good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So on an earlier video, I was mentioning that if I could just pull stuff out of my pocket and leave it here, I would get a bunch of I-beams, and you were saying a very strong forklift that could actually lift a corner and get stuff underneath. And I had a picture of a portable sawmill just to be able to, so the family can mill their own wood and do some creative stuff with it.
Well, we got lumber all around us here.
Right.
We
Yeah.
have everything we need. We just need people.
Yeah.
We need people led by the Holy Spirit that are ready to come out here and work for a sense of community. Yeah, it's going to take some hard work, but it's going to be worth it.
In fact, I used to have a 9-foot DeWalt saw. I used to rip my own timbers up in
Okay.
another place.
Yeah. Okay. So mention again approximately how many the cabins are in rescue now state.
We probably have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna say probably, I think less than 10.
Okay.
But, somewhere around there.
All right. So there's 9 or 10 houses. Now, I mean, I'm going to be sharing this with some people that are, Jesus-hearted disciples that have less than 3/4 to rub together, but they got manpower, they got people power, and they got joy and consistency. And one of my first efforts, I want to really focus on the houses that need to be rescued, where somebody could come in and actually decide to change their whole life and start something new. So I'm going to cut this one off here. I don't want to make them too long. So let's check out some of the emergency houses.